It's almost 5 a.m. My hair's messed up, isn't it? Getting fluffy all over the place. Makes me look like Captain Caveman. You know, through all of this, it was doing what other people wanted that really fucked me the most. But I needed those people's help. I didn't need them to send me money. I just needed them to tell the fucking truth. Of course, the longer it took for them to come forward and tell the truth, the more money it cost me, the more time it cost me, the more hell I had to go through. These people want to be pissed off that I showed the truth on Facebook and YouTube. Well, I was trying to show it in fucking court. I have a penis. I mean, seriously. I don't have any fucking rights. Women want to hate all men because rich CEOs make more money than women CEOs. Most of you women aren't any more CEO of a major company than I am. So your fucking gripe there is not fucking legitimate. You are looking over problems that most of the population has to deal with because you want to find this one little fucking nugget that makes everything fucking okay. Oh, well, rich white men make more money than rich white women. What the fuck bearing does that have on me? How the fuck is that my fault? Who's worth more, Oprah Winfrey or Donald fucking Trump? It's easy for Oprah Winfrey to say that pretty shit that she fucking says. It is. It's easy to say you should have, you should have, you should have, but you weren't in the fucking situation, were you? I have never disliked Oprah Winfrey. Never had a problem with her. Her money, on the other hand, yeah, I got a lot of problems with that. Money's fucking gross. You only care, the general public only cares, the media only cares about the fucking rich. We're gonna have to hear about the Kardashians for the next fucking 100 years. So there's this guy I go to see, and he's into watching Pawn Stars. And today there was this thing on about an old actor named Mickey Rooney. He was pretty famous. Um, but yeah, the dude who's wanting to sell the Mickey Rooney stuff, it's a bunch of love letters and shit. And the guy that he's talking to is a guy who's probably younger than me. And even that dude knows who Mickey Rooney is, you know? You care about famous movie stars. You care about rich people. If something goes on with a rich movie star, shit, that'll be in the tabloids for fucking ever. You got kids in your local neighborhood being raped, being molested, being abducted, being fucking murdered, and you guys give a shit about, oh yeah, the Kardashians. There's a lot of people who did really fucked up shit. And their excuses for doing that fucked up shit are so fucking terrible. Like, oh my god, that's seriously your excuse for allowing these things to happen to an innocent man? That's really going to be your excuse? Of course, you go back through my Facebook, you realize, yeah, I saw all this fucking coming before it ever happened. It's not difficult to tell patterns in human behavior. You guys want to assume that people who are different must be wrong because they're different. It's easier for you to assume that an autistic person who is suffering from PTSD, from being abused because they're different, it's easier for you to pretend like they're schizophrenic and had it coming for being different, isn't it? It makes you feel good. I didn't just talk about these situations, I saved the proof. But even that ain't fucking good enough. I got all these people from all these government agencies, each one of them telling me I got to get a hold of this place and I got to get a hold of that place. Meanwhile, they're telling me to get a hold of places that on this very YouTube, there are hundreds of calls to these places. Just on this fucking YouTube channel. And these people tell me, well, did you try this place? Did you try that place? Motherfucker, it doesn't matter what I try when it's just me. Nobody is going to do their fucking job. I have too many strikes against me. And we're not talking about things that I did wrong. We're talking about poverty. We're talking about my looks. We're talking about my gender. These are the things that I am punished over. These are the things that are used as excuses for harming me. Oh, he's poor, so it must be okay. He doesn't have enough money to buy the rights that he is supposed to be entitled to as an American citizen, but he doesn't have the money to buy those rights. So he doesn't get them. This freedom that these soldiers supposedly are fighting for. No, the fuck you're not. You're killing foreign kids in foreign countries for the same bastards that are raping us here and abroad. You are working for the bad guys if you are in the military. Now, if you want to tell me about your service during Korea or Vietnam, that's fine and fucking dandy. You can spout out your ass about whatever experiences that you had. But the regime we're dealing with now, it don't matter which one becomes president. It doesn't. They're all fucking crooked. It's a top-down fucking structure. If you're at the very top and you're a child molester and you get to fill in the two positions below you of people who could actually get you in trouble for that, well, you fill those positions with child molesters and you don't have a problem anymore. And they're going to fill in their extra slots and positions with child molesters. And the same thing, trickle down economics, right? By the time it's as heavily involved in the human trafficking as the United States government is, you have to get rid of the government. That's the only thing that you can do at that point. You have to get rid of the current regime and replace it. The whole system is fucked. And you want to take out one or two little pieces, put one or two different things in there and say, oh yeah, we fixed it. Yeah, that's kind of what the British thought with the L3A1. You know, we got this one little problem, we need to fix it. Once you fix that one little problem, you do just a little bit of adjustment on that spring or just a little bit of weight redistribution on the bolt, and next thing you know, you have to change something else because now you're encountering a different problem. You had to lighten up the action because the bolt was too heavy. So you either got to lighten up the spring or shave some weight off of the bolt. Of course, once you shave the weight off the bolt, you're changing a lot of the dynamics of the recoil. If you mess with the spring, well, you're also messing with the tensioning on that spring and its ability to bring itself back to its original position. You're also changing the rate of fire. So if you change the spring or the bolt, you are automatically going to change the rate of fire. If you've got a two-stage positioning where it's based on one spring being heavier than the other and both of the springs are about the same, you're going to start to encounter issues. Now, that might be something that bolt weight would have taken care of, but now you're going to have to change another part of your rifle. The L3A1, the British bullpup rifle design, I mean, they spent almost 20 years trying to get it right. Most of those years, it was already in service. So they did the same stupid that we in the United States did with the M16 and the Lee Iacocca situation. The thing is that it wasn't evidence like it should have been through any of this. It wasn't someone looking at both sides objectively. No person did that. None. And a lot of these people, when they made empty promises, I'm not allowed to get frustrated. They're allowed to get frustrated. I'm not allowed to tell them what's going on in my life. I'm not allowed to tell them the abuse that I'm having to go through because I got to listen to them telling me about all of their fucking trivial bullshit. By comparison, their stuff is trivial bullshit. Just because it's trivial bullshit doesn't mean I don't care. It just means that it's trivial bullshit. And most of it is trivial bullshit that I can't do a goddamn thing about. But these people could do something about my situation. These people could just simply tell the truth. But when the truth includes admitting that you were wrong, or that you lied, or that you made a mistake, fuck, the only person I know who's going to be honest in that situation is me. Ain't nobody else I know ever going to be like that. I've done come to that conclusion. A lot of people are like, you know, Sean, I'm like that too. I'm like that too. I'm like that too. And then when it comes all down to it, well, you should have proved it. You had your opportunity to prove it. You proved something other. He said, "Hey, Sean, you know, when I needed help, you were there, man. Fucking, if you need help, just let me know. What help do you need? I tell you what help I need. And then you want to argue with me because you're fucking drunk or you're fucked up on meth. You don't get to argue with me about a situation that I was there for and you weren't. You obviously, by having an opinion, are blowing smoke out your own ass. That's what you're doing. Every time you distribute advice, every time you tell me you should try calling this place, you try calling that place, you're just being a condescending fucking asshole. Years of trying, years of having to depend on alcoholics and meth heads because the cops won't do their jobs. Years of being abused over other people's predators. I mean, who was it, first of all, that was dating an underage Natalie Bollinger? Was that me? Oh, hell no. Me and Natalie never dated. That was Tim Beeson. Who was it that was fucking an underage girl? Oh, yeah, that was Tim Beeson. Who was it that was distributing these drugs to Natalie Bollinger? Tim Beeson. Who was it that was doing these drugs with her? Tim Beeson. And who is it that threatened my life as if I was a child molester, a rapist, and a fucking druggie? Tim motherfucking Beeson. Holy shit. So I got all these different places I'm supposed to call, and they're like, oh, well, do you have family? Do you have family? No. See, that's the point. When you don't have family, you're supposed to go to these places. These are the people and the places you are supposed to go to. You're supposed to go to the fucking cops in this situation. You're supposed to go to Adult Protective Services in this situation. Who did I go to? The police and Adult Protective Services. And what did they do? Nothing. Made excuses why it's not their fucking job. I asked that lady, Tara Smith. Sorry, I was saying Tara Miller, but it's Tara Smith. I was saying, well, a lot of things about that situation. Tara Smith, I talked to her years earlier, 2018, after Natalie was killed. I was talking to her outside of Pumpkin Pantry with two officers who shouldn't have been there. Deputy Jared Hahn and, of course, Bill Burr, one of the state patrol officers. After the shit that they pulled, having me committed for trying to turn in Cody Selhorst and Jared Hahn. Meanwhile, I got to go to a lady who, at this point, has already done everything in her power to do absolutely nothing fucking useful. Jen Beebe. This is the woman that I have to go to because I don't have anyone in real life who actually cares. If they actually cared, they wouldn't give me fucking lip service. They wouldn't tell me just to move on. Do you even have any understanding whatsoever of how fucking cruel that is? Oh, Sean, you just need to abandon everything. Sean, you need to abandon all your loved ones. You have to abandon everything over and over and over again. That's the right thing to do, Sean. Fuck all of you. So when an adult is being abused, you're supposed to call Adult Protective Services. But then again, when you're being abused and one of your abusers is a cop, what's the first thing they fucking do? Oh no, we don't do anything to try to keep you safe. No, all we do is try to get you housing. Housing! Did you think about moving to North Platte? Have you thought about moving to Scotts Bluff? Have you thought about moving to Lincoln? It doesn't matter where the fuck I move if I don't have help. I am the easiest fucking person on the goddamn planet to victimize. All you gotta do is call me mentally ill. Meanwhile, a lot of these people like Tara Miller or the police are like, well, why don't you have this person do it? Why don't you have that person do it? I asked the dude who owns this place, the house that I would have owned if Natalie Bollinger hadn't been shot in the fucking head. The guy who owns it. He gets fucking depressed. When he gets depressed, he shuts the fuck down. A lot of people do. I have to work through it. I don't have the luxury of family gonna wipe my ass until I'm no longer depressed. If I turn work down, it's because I can't fucking do the work, not because I'm fucking depressed. And they kept on pushing the whole, well, you should have them do it. You should have them do it. No, the thing is that I'm coming to you because I don't have those people to help me. The guy here, he could have sat down with me, all the stuff that I needed help with on the computer. When he ended up in a situation where he needed to be able to do that stuff, he knew how to do it. It didn't take him 20 minutes to do it. Like, fuck. That's the difference between knowing how to do it and having to fucking educate yourself on it while you're going through the fucking ringer. I mean, I gotta fucking look up all these different fucking laws on all this different bullshit that all these people pulled. And I already knew these things were illegal. I've seen these things happen to many people before. And whether or not it's legal or illegal has nothing to do with what's written on paper. It has to do with popularity. If you're not popular, people aren't going to fucking look at your evidence. If people are just giving you lip service because they want what you got, yeah, that lip service ends as soon as your fucking paycheck ends. That money that I should have been able to use to get myself into a safe environment, I had to repeatedly spend to go to places where I was unsafe so that I could actually go to my court dates. Well, people are telling me, no, Sean, you just need to run. You just need to run. You just need to run. You need to move here. You need to move there. Well, then I end up with warrants on my fucking record. And I didn't fucking want that. I end up not able to go back to Colorado to see my loved ones. And I didn't want that. But these fucking pieces of shit didn't want to take the time to fucking understand that. They wanted to continue to feed me lip service. If you tell me 4,000 times that I need to talk to the cops, and I go to talk to the cops and I get treated like I'm mentally ill, and I tell you, hey, I have gone to the cops, they treat me like I'm mentally ill. I need you to speak up, Brandon Ratner. Not in 10 fucking years, you piece of shit. And some of these people, you know, a lot of women will use the, oh, well, my kid's sick, or I'm sick, or somebody's fucking sick. Whenever they don't want to fucking keep their word, after they fucking led you on for months and months and months, and I'm not talking about leading you on for sex, I'm talking about you need help. And these people have promised that help. And the longer it takes for them to keep their promises, the more abuse you have to take, and the more likely it is that you will not be allowed a court date and you will have to endure the abuse for the rest of your fucking life. But these son of a bitches, obviously, they got a lot to fucking hide. Because the police have done everything in their fucking power to prevent this evidence from being shown in fucking court. The Bollingers and the media have done everything in their power to stop this from being shown in fucking court. The judges and the fucking cops have done everything in their power to stop this from being shown in court. And there are multiple cases where the police officers got to walk after doing what they did to me, and people wanted to pretend that I deserved it. These very same people who pretended that I deserved it because I'm white, pretended that I deserved it because I had a penis. When it happened to a female, those very same people wanted to talk about how wrong it was. When these very same things happened to black people, they wanted to talk about how wrong it was. These police officers did the same thing to me that they did to these other people. But I was not treated the way that these other people were. I was not treated the way that Michelle Rodriguez was treated. I was not treated the way that Sammy Leon Lawrence IV was treated, or Zaid Atkinson. All of them got actual help, while all I got was fucking lip service. while I spoke out. And I tried to work together with the other victims to put a stop to this. Let's see, this person typed Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. He typed, many cops are idiots and abuse innocent people. That's fucking true. Most cops, all right, I'm sorry, all cops abuse the American public. This is because they enforce immoral laws written by child molesters and fucking rapists who are only interested in making a fucking profit off of your fucking corpse. See, here's the thing. The issues that I had that made me suicidal to begin with, the abuse, the being ignored by everyone, the not having a family, the having people with families tell me how they did it all by themselves. No, bitch. Your mommy and daddy co-signed for your fucking vehicle. Your mommy and daddy co-signed for your fucking first apartment. Your mommy and daddy hooked you up with money so that you could do that. Your mommy and daddy paid for the roof over your head so that you could use your money from your summer job to go buy that fucking vehicle. Then you guys want to pretend that as soon as you turn 18, that magically everything is different. You're not at your parents' house. So now you somehow have rights. No, 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 no. That's not how it works. Your rights are based upon your income. My credit score was fucked before I turned 18 because my parents decided, hey, we'll just use Sean's information and Eric's information because we didn't pay our bills because we were snorting it up our fucking nose. But then I turned 18. I'm fucking homeless. I ain't got shit. Not even a fucking ID. And people tell me how I fucking chose that. I didn't choose to be fucking victimized. I didn't choose to be fucking ignored. I didn't choose for the bastards that I had to go to for help to be able to turn off their body cameras and destroy fucking evidence. Those were not my fucking choices. Now people in this town who fucked me over people like Chris Kurth and Sandy Fromm, they want to kind of sort of make up for it. But they use up an awful lot of my fucking time. And sure, I get a thank you. Hey, thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And you're welcome. After Sandy Fromm threatened to kill me and tried to get a guy named Tim in town to fucking kill me, I still drove her back to her house and spent my entire birthday with Sandy dealing with her fucking goddamn bullshit. I don't have good fucking birthdays. I would have liked to spend my birthday with decent fucking people. And people with similar fucking interests. Like, you guys have no idea how much it fucking sucks when you don't have any friends. When you don't have anybody with similar interests to hang out with. In this town, everybody's fucking drunk or on meth. And most of them are pushing the Jesus. It's all right that I do these fucked up things because I'm drunk or I'm on meth. Because I said in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. Like being in the South. They talk shit about you and then say, bless his heart. And that magically makes it okay. There's a lot of these people want to run around slandering my name and treat me like shit over and over again. Like there's a lady down at Hanson's Petroleum. And she was telling this guy that I know in town, look out for me. Not look out for me as in, make sure he's safe. It's look out for me as if I'm going to do something terrible to him. This is the guy who has done terrible things to me. Not because he's a bad person, but because he made fucking mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And this dude, he may not admit to every fucking mistake, but he doesn't need to. He admits to the important ones. Now he's letting me use his car, which is part of the reason that she said something. She saw me driving his car. Why was I driving his car? Because he needs help. When he goes to a job, he can't take his big ass truck and his fucking car. And he does need both of them there. Now, so I ride along and I sit in the vehicle to make sure that it doesn't overheat while he's using it. And in exchange, I get to use his vehicle. But the thing is that this lady down at Hampson's, I never did any wrong to her. I never did anything for her to even believe, for even a moment, that I would do terrible things to her or to this dude. But she's not going to look at that. She's going to listen to the rumor mill. In between saying, all right, well, maybe I should look at this objectively from both sides, or, I'm just going to punish him to be on the safe side. And you don't see it as punishment. You don't see it as you punishing me because you're lazy. Like the cops. They don't see them not doing their job because they're lazy as a punishment for me. But look at all of the situations that I've had to deal with because they didn't do their fucking jobs. And then they get away with it by saying, oh, well, he's mentally ill. Well, that makes it okay, doesn't it? It's okay for you to rape somebody who's mentally ill. It's okay for you to beat up somebody who's mentally ill. It's okay for you to harass, threaten, and stalk somebody who is called mentally ill until they are fucking suicidal over it. And then it is okay for you to harm them for being suicidal. But you're never going to do a goddamn thing about the predators, are you? Nationwide, you look at the people who are being fucking victimized the most and the people with the least rights. And we're not talking about black people, are we? No. We're talking about the disabled and the homeless, number one. Number one. The disabled. Number two, the homeless. Over 80% of our incarcerated population nationwide are people who were homeless before being incarcerated. They're the easiest to victimize. When you, as a police officer, commit a crime, I have to get a civil lawyer. You committed a crime by assaulting me, but you knew that I didn't have the money for a civil lawyer. You also knew that by assaulting me and charging me with felony assault, that you were going to cut me off from any possibility of being able to defend myself against you and your cronies without outside help. And then all these people that are doing all this stuff electronically and over the internet who do this every day tell me, oh, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Really? You don't? You do it every day. I'm not going to say I don't know how to make a YouTube video. There's probably, on average, between 3 and 5 videos per day that I have posted since Natalie was fucking killed. Narul Fathia Saad. I probably butchered your name. I'm sorry if I did. What could we do about this? It's beyond our power. Very unlikely for the government to listen to us. To whom we must report if the police abused us. See, that's the problem with a lot of people. You can't do anything by yourself. Neither can I. That's why sinning is so important. I'm not talking about committing murder and committing false witness and having sex with your neighbor's wife and stuff. I'm talking about safety in numbers. Work together. Through all of this, the logistics for me of not having the money to go do all these things, not being able to see these other people in person. A lot of the other victims were friends of mine before all this happened, but they were able to stay there in Boulder without being assaulted, without having to go through the hell that I had to go through. And they were allowed to get frustrated, but I'm not. They're allowed to bash me as a human being, but I'm not allowed to tell the truth about the situation. That's the biggest problem with Sandy Fromm. Like many of these people, she just wanted to run around bashing my name. Round and round and round she goes, and where she stops, probably goes up her nose. No, that's not true. I've been out to Sandy Fromm's place, and I've spent hours and hours looking for shit that she lost. There is no indication, other than the way she acts, of any sort of meth use. And I think a lot of the situation that she has right now is because of long-term drug use in the past. I think it also comes from being the pretty girl who looks like a movie star that everyone's got a crush on to being an old wrinkled woman. There were people who were going to come and see me in person, come and help me. One of them, her name's Katie, and she's in Oregon. And last I heard, there was a fire close to her house. I don't have any way to get a hold of her. She's not responding to Facebook. She's not responding to her telephone. I don't know if she's alive or dead. I also don't know if her real name is Katie. I know that her profile had a grand total of a picture of her and a post that she made about getting married after she sent me a friend request. But she's not the only one with one like that. A lot of these people who offered to help me, they didn't actually want to help me. They were pretending to. They were making altered accounts, playing on their altered egos. Katie's real name might not even be Katie, but you know what? I got an iPad from her. She was going to help me learn how to use that. As soon as I got that money in and I was able to actually pay for the things that I needed to pay for Katie or her husband to come out here and help me, either one. And I understand they got kids, so I mean that's a big thing too. Like they have kids. For her to come out here and help me, it puts a strain on her family, puts a strain on her kids, puts a strain on her husband. So if she's going to come out here, I got to make sure that it's not going to waste, that it is going to help us out, not just me, not just Katie, but also her kids and her husband. Because if we can change these laws for future generations, we are doing a good thing. When I fought for all those years to try to get body cameras, state of Colorado, have the cops forced to wear them, we finally, after years of trying, finally we got body cameras in Colorado, and Boulder police didn't want nothing to do with it. And it wasn't a situation where police were forced to wear them. They could wear them if they wanted to. It's voluntary. So then police used their body cameras to frame people, mostly homeless people, like Officer Keith Steinman coming up and starting trouble with homeless people, making fun of our friends who just died the night before, calling them bumsicles, telling us that he was the officer who shot Ash at the hospital, trying to get you worked up. Then he turns on his body camera and charges you with use of fighting words. Keith Steinman's a fucking coward. Every fucking cop in America is a coward. You can't be a cop unless you are a coward. And the fact that those immoral laws are enforced by all of them is proof that they're all cowards, because every fucking cop in the goddamn country knows what they're doing is wrong. Every goddamn cop in the country knows that an immoral law is an immoral law. Every fucking cop in America knows that you treat rich people differently than you treat the poor. If the rules are different for you than they are for me, then we need to change the rules. If it's wrong to rape a woman, but a man who is raped needs to shut the fuck up, well, we need to do something about that. We either A, need to make it wrong to rape a man as well, or we need to make it okay to rape a woman the same way that a man is raped. That's equality. Now, when it comes to equality on paper, sure, we all have equality on paper, don't we? Actually, no, we don't. We don't. We have special rights for lots of different groups, but not white people, because that would be racist, and not men, because that would be sexist. Well, hold on. Isn't that both racist and sexist? To believe that somebody can't be victimized because of the color of their skin? You tell me about how all these white people are destroying everything and ruining everything and fucking everything up. And then the white guys that you're talking about, there are black people doing that same shit in those same fucking positions. Don't blame me for rich white men. I'm not rich. I've never been. Don't blame me for your rapists. If I raped you, then yes, you have every fucking right to take it out on me. If Tim Beeson raped you, you need to take it out on Tim. If Ted Bollinger raped you, you need to take it out on Ted Bollinger. You do not get to take it out on me and then pretend like I am a bad person for defending myself. The government does listen to the people when the people make the government listen. All it would have taken to squish all of this shit in 2016, we could have had an officer sit down with myself and the Bollinger family and hash that shit out right fucking there. Instead, the police busted my fucking vehicle further and then played fucking stupid, which is something that every cop and every nurse and every doctor in America knows how to do. They are taught to play fucking stupid before they're taught anything else. And it's all for show, for manipulating the American public. Like a lot of folks want to say, oh, well, look at all these black people who are committing these crimes. They deserve this and they deserve that. Like, no, they don't deserve that abuse. When your numbers are askew because those people didn't have the rights that they're supposed to be legally entitled to as American citizens, you deny them those rights. You railroad them in your kangaroo fucking courts, and you torture them into submission. And then you go, oh, well, look at all of these black people who are incarcerated because they're doing bad stuff. But then when it really comes down to it, most of those black people were homeless before they were incarcerated. Most of them. Just like most of the white people locked up. are locked up because they were homeless. Most of the Native Americans who are locked up because they were homeless. Now, if you want to talk about specific regions like Hardin, Montana, yeah. If you're in Hardin, Montana, and there's Native Americans in jail, there is a possibility, a good possibility, that they're in there because they broke the law. I saw the cops mess with a few people while I was there, and those people were extremely drunk and belligerent and loitering outside of a place of business in a very, very loud fashion, trying to panhandle everybody for change. Does that mean that all Native Americans are like that? No. But that experience still happened. But then you look at the Native Americans in Boulder. Are most of them, is that a big Native American area? No, it's not. There are not a lot of Native Americans in the Boulder area. And the ones that we do are from all over the place. I mean, Jetty, not from Colorado. Nicholas Romero, not from Colorado. Derek Apodaca, shit, he's not even a Native American. He's a mutt like me. Of course, I'd rather be a mutt than a purebred anything because purebred means inbred. But it's all right, isn't it? You call me mentally ill, you ignore the abuse that I go through, and it's magically okay. You call me mentally ill, and then you throw me out on the streets to be abused, and it's okay. I must deserve it because I have a penis. Yeah, sure. That's how it is, isn't it? If somebody hits me 100 times, the cops aren't going to do shit. But if I hit that person back, they'll sure as shit lock me up. Elijah Best typed, so if a bear mauls you, only keep an eye out for that one bear or be cautious around bears in general. Well, here's the thing about bears. You know that if you're off in the woods, you're in the bear's territory. If you get mauled by a bear, it is always your fault. 100% of the time, if you get mauled by a bear, it is your fault. I'm trying to think of a scenario where it would not be your fault. Maybe you got abducted and somebody was able to get a bear into the back of their van with some fresh meat or something and close the door behind it. And then they just leave you in there with the bear for a week until the bear eats you. Well, maybe a bear will maul you then, and it's not your fault. But that's the thing about analogies. You know that a bear's nature is the nature of an animal. If it's hungry, it's going to eat. It's going to go looking for food. It's an omnivore. That means that it eats plants and it eats animals. It'll eat meat, same as it'll eat berries. A bear is a lot different than a human being. A lot of the women who did fucked up shit to me, I was leery of them because of things that they had done in the past, but also because of things that other women have done in the past. And I do have to be mindful of this because we do train women to be this way in the United States. We got rid of the royalty with the Revolutionary War, and then we want to treat every little girl like she's a goddamn princess. Holy shit. No, I'm not going to fucking take care of your little princess. She can wipe her own ass. If her safety is actually an issue, then I'll be there to protect her. But I'm not going to go running every time she got some bullshit that she fucking started And she thinks that I owe it to her because I have a penis. Or I owe it to her because she has a vagina. Jamie Curtis is a prime example. When she asked for my help, she got it. When she was feeling unsafe and needed some help with getting safely out of James's house, fuck yeah, I turned around. That's the boy's mom, homie. You goddamn right I turned around. And I went back and I rescued him. I got him out of that shitty goddamn situation. And then I went back to keeping my word to Miss Natalie. You know, that wreck that she got into that resulted in them fucking plates in her leg. She had called me and told me that if I wasn't already on the way, she was gonna fucking kill herself. 6 hours later, she wrapped her vehicle around a fucking telephone pole. So she put all that pressure on me to go out there. And then when I go out there and fucking shit doesn't go the way that it was supposed to, well, fuck. Nothing goes the way that it's supposed to. That doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make her a bad person. The things that she did, though, yeah, I have a difficult time believing that she was a good person. See, in real life, she was good to me. But over the phone and over the internet, she was a manipulative fucking evil bitch. The other thing is, Maddie Boa knew the people were doing these things to me. So did Alicia, so did Natalie. I told them what was going on. They wanted to pretend like it wasn't happening. Hey, if I'd have known how to take fucking screenshots, I'd have just sent screenshots. I've been like, hey, Natalie, I have to deal with people like Tim Beeson here. Every time I go to see my older brother, you get to see your fucking sister if you want. You get to see my friends in Boulder, Colorado if you want. I don't get to see them. If I go to see them, I get abused. If I go to see them, I get treated like a fucking child molester. I get treated like a fucking rapist, like a murderer, like a fucking stalker. And I didn't stalk anyone. I sure as shit harassed them, though. If I'm gonna be assaulted over something that you're fucking spreading, I am gonna let you know about it. No, you do not get to hide behind my fucking predators. That is not gonna stop me from speaking out. Matter of fact, if you are going to help my predators, I am gonna tell the whole goddamn world. There's a big difference between being mauled by a bear and being raped by a cop. Bears don't know how to read, and even if they could, they don't give a fuck what our laws are. They care about eating, they care about shitting, they care about pissing, they care about sleeping, they care about fucking, and they care about their kids. That's animals in a nutshell. When it comes to human beings, you got to worry about what everybody else thinks. You really do. And saying, oh, you need to just ignore that. You know, why does it matter what other people think? Well, let's see. Chris Kurth, because of the things that he thinks, He threatened me on multiple occasions. Sheriff DaCosta, because of the way he thinks, repeatedly forced me into situations where I was abused by his deputies. If you get mauled by a bear, it's your fault. If you get raped, it's your rapist's fault. To a point. Now, there's going to be people who are going to disagree with me on this, and that's fucking fine. But let me tell you what it's like for a guy. Let's say a guy gets assaulted when he goes to the mall. One of the mall security guards doesn't like him. They went to high school together, and this mall security guard was a bully in high school too. So every time you go to the mall, this security guard beats you up. The cops aren't going to fucking do anything. So what are you told as a guy not to do? Just don't go there and there won't be a problem. Now, if your entire family lives at the mall, then you have to go to the mall to see your family, and that guard is just being a dick. But you're told, just don't go there. Just don't go there. Just don't go there. As a man, if you go back to where you got assaulted, it's your fault for going back. And I got to say the same thing for rape and for domestic abuse. You know, the first time he beat the fuck out of you and I rescued you, you were a victim. The second time he beat the fuck out of you and I rescued you, I was a fucking dumbass. I forgave you for the shit that you did to me when you went back to him the first time. He beats you up, and then I take the punishment because you're in love with him. Well, the next time, you work it out with him. If that results in you getting beaten to death, you pay attention to the fact that the last few times that I went and rescued your ass, you went back to him. If you go out to the nightclub on 33rd, and every time you go out to that nightclub on 33rd, you get roofied and you wake up with no panties in an alley, leaking some dude's spooge, and you don't even remember what he looks like. How many times are you gonna fucking go back to that? Sure, the first time, yeah, it's not your fucking fault. The second time, yeah, you obviously made a mistake, and well, hopefully you won't make that mistake a third time. But when you've made that mistake 11 times, same place, yeah, it is now not only your fault, but your active pursuit to be raped. If the first time you go to the club on 33rd, you get raped, and then you go talking about how terrible the place is and that you got raped there, and then you go back and you get raped again, yes, I feel bad for you because you got raped. I definitely feel bad because it happened a second time. But if you continue going back, you are literally going back there for the abuse. That is what you're going back for. You're in that nightclub for what, 3 hours? So in that 3 hours, you're going to get roofied and you're going to get raped. And then you're going to come back next week for more? You're going to wake up in an alley leaking fluids that are not yours? And you're going to go back next week for more? And then you're going to complain about how terrible men are because you keep going back. Men aren't at fault for you going back to that scenario. The men who rescued you are not at fault for you going back. The man who rescued you from your rapist is not at fault when you decide that you can't handle being alone and you're going to go back to what's familiar. That is not the fault of the man who rescued you. When you were raped by that same man and rescued from that same man repeatedly, and you keep going back, it is not the fault of any of us that you went back. There's one woman, she just had another kid. She can't stay off the drugs, but she keeps popping out babies. Her and her family are at odds because she can't stay off the drugs. Her family throws all sorts of cash and fucking other resources at her to try to get her help. But she's also an addict. No matter what, her family is just evil people because, well, when she wants money so that she can spend it on her drug addictions, they won't give it to her anymore. You guys have all heard the lies out of your relatives. Hey, I just want to come home and see you. If you send me $100, I'll be home in just a couple of days. A month later, they call you back because they need more money. They never got on that bus. They never came home. When you go back to your abuser, that's not your abuser's choice. It's not your abuser's choice for you to go back. It's not your abuser's choice for you to say, well, actually, that's an acceptable level of abuse. That's not your abuser's choice. It's not a man's choice whether or not you two date. Why is that? Because it takes two people. Two. If one person wants to date and the other person doesn't, they're not dating. Pretty simple. That man who beat on you can't force you to go back. He can't force you to alienate your friends. But you like the endorphin drip, that dopamine drip that happens in your brain when you have someone else who is familiar around, especially when there is physical intimacy. And I'm not talking about sex, I'm talking about cuddling, imprinting. Once you've imprinted with somebody like that, you know, that's your familiarity. That is your sense of safety, even if they're beating you up. A lot of homeless women that I know, they'll date a guy who will beat them up 2 or 3 times a year. But why are they dating this guy who beats them up 2 or 3 times a year? Because he protects her from being raped 3 to 5 times a month. She puts up with it because most of the time he's protecting her. Just the fact that he is there in person protects her. It's nice to compare people with animals. But you know, you really got to treat people like animals a lot before they start acting like it. How many people assaulted me before I ever fought back? How many times was I injected with fucking drugs for trying to speak out? And there's a lot of people that did really fucked up shit. And they say, oh, well, I had to go on a hiking trip with my family, or I had to go on a fishing trip with my family, or I had to go horseback riding with my family, or I had to this and I had to that. They're going over these lists of all these things that they had to do as the reason why they didn't keep their word. When it comes down to it, you didn't keep your word. You don't get to put that on me. I went to you for help. But the fact that you weren't willing to admit it, you wanted to take your dear sweet fucking time, or you wanted to blow me this goddamn lip service, meant that these predators continued to do whatever they wanted while you were on your fishing trip, while you were on your rowboating experience. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that these people should be allowed to have those experiences. I really do. And I'm not jealous because I don't get to have those experiences. I'm pissed off because between helping an innocent person to stop the abuse that they're enduring and going out and doing this fucking fun shit every goddamn week, no, you are not too busy to tell the truth. You just don't care. If you weren't going to help me, you shouldn't have led me on that you were gonna. King of Nickels, she did something that most people do when they don't keep their word, when they don't do the right thing. Yeah, sure, Sean, I didn't come forward and tell the truth, even though I knew you were being abused over it. I didn't come forward. But it's your fault, Sean. It's got to be your fault. King of Nickels couldn't come forward about the fact that I went to her for help before Natalie was killed. About the fact that she sent me money before Natalie was killed so I could go to see my fucking therapist. She couldn't come forward about that for 3 goddamn years, but I eventually got her on the phone and I recorded that conversation and I put it on this very YouTube along with her excuses. Now, why do I say excuses? Is her being afraid of being ejected from the country if she tells the truth because she was born in Hungary? Is that a legit fear of hers? Yes, absolutely. It also shows that what the police said about why people like Kinga didn't come forward and the reason that Kinga didn't come forward are not the same thing. But they weren't going to talk to Kinga. They didn't care if what they were saying was the truth. Actually, they did care if what they were saying was the truth. They knew it wasn't the truth and they pushed it anyway. But I have to take the abuse. I somehow deserve it because of my looks, because of my gender. We can compare people to animals. We can also push people to become animals. Let's look at Centoya Brown, for example. How many rapes do you think she had to endure before she killed that son of a bitch? A lot of people want to pretend like she's a villain for killing that son of a bitch. I say she did us all a favor. I'm against killing, but at the same time, when you back somebody into the corner and fucking poke them with a stick and poke them with a stick and poke them with a stick, yeah, they're gonna fucking do something. There was a couple of people that, a lot of times when I was younger, my abusers would be real nice and friendly with me, especially after doing something. You want some extra ice cream at lunch? The fucking audacity of some goddamn people. But then there's the brutal ones, the ones who were violent about it. They weren't friendly. They didn't try to make up for it afterwards. They just straight didn't give a fuck. There's a lot of stuff on Facebook that I read that is traumatic for me. Like, there's a lot of women right now typing about how they're into kinky sex, like being choked. I've been choked before. I didn't like it. Different strokes for different folks. You like being abused. I don't. But if you like being abused, don't push it to the point that you are abused and then come whining to me for help when you're just going to go back in 2 weeks. And I'm not allowed to speak up about the abuse that I have to now take because now I'm the bad guy for doing the right thing. I'm the bad guy for coming to your rescue when you asked. I'm the bad guy for driving all the way from Chapel, Nebraska to Alliance to fucking rescue your ass, Miss Jerry. I'm the bad guy for going all the way from Chapel, Nebraska to Bozeman, Montana to rescue your ass, Miss Jerry. Fuck it.